We'll next hear from Jan Neyman. Jan was a longtime professor of geography at the University of Miami. More recently, he's taken up a position as professor of urban studies and director of the Center for Urban Studies at the University of Amsterdam. He's a longtime friend and collaborator of Harm's.
Thank you, Alec. As we had to delay the meeting here for about 10 minutes, I could hear Harm say, "Upstaged by a bunch of ducks." What a place! I've known Harm for about 25 years, and I've been a good friend of his for about 15 years. And you may think, well, why weren't you a good friend for 25 years? I joined the faculty at the University of Miami as a fresh PhD, expecting to work with Harm. He was at the University of Miami, but of course he was never there. I got to know him very well since about the year 2000. And I was very honored and very forever grateful to him when he asked me to replace him at the Committee for Research and Exploration at the National Geographic Society. An organization that was always very close to his heart, an organization that became very close to my heart. He opened a door for me, and many doors for me, that I think he did for a lot of people. He became a very good friend, of course, a very sometimes intimidating colleague, inspiring mentor, but also a very good friend of whom I will never forget. Anytime I would call him, the enthusiasm with which he would pick up the phone. You know, "Hey, Jan, nice of you to call, and how's it going?" And it was the kind of enthusiasm that you would almost associate with kids. And he was quite my senior, but he had this vitality in him that was kid-like, almost, and it was, to me, very infectious and very inspiring. 7 years ago, he asked me to join the author team, to join him and Peter on the Regents books, Regents and the World Today. And so I worked with him for about 6 years on that, and he was just an awesome mentor. You know, I've always loved geography myself, and I always thought I could write, but this is a different kind of thing, and he could be extremely demanding and critical and tough, and he could be incredibly sharing and insightful. And you know, if you ask me the one quality that maybe that's the secret of his success as a geographer, if I may speak to that, I think he, maybe like nobody else I know, understood that geography sits somewhere between an art and a science. He knew that, and there was so much that he did in geography that was intuitive to him almost, and yet there was the hard science as well. So he combined both. I asked him the last time we had dinner, Peter was there as well, I asked him this question. I'm not sure where the question came from, but I asked him, "Harm, if you had to go someplace on an island somewhere, and you had to choose what to bring, either an unlimited number of books or your violin." And maybe I should have given 3 choices. I said unlimited number of bottles of wine. But I said, all these books or a violin, what would you bring? And he said immediately, "Oh, that's easy, my violin." You know, and I thought that really tells you something about him. Well, I started off saying that Harm was never in Miami. He traveled an awful lot. I've tried to imitate that a little bit, but he traveled a lot. He brought all the experiences of his travels to the books. When he invented this idea of the field note, it was a novelty, you know, in the textbooks, and so much of what we wrote in the books was based on our experiences traveling and doing research in places around the world. Let me just say that I hope on his final journey he reached a beautiful destination.